and we had cats for some reason.
Uh-huh. Yep, I backed up all the way into the show before us. Wife talking about her dream.
Homer, you've got company.
Why are there two sets of prices?
One's the Emmy winner discount.
Making a household name for yourself is not an easy task in the cartoon TV show world. Family Guy made such a big name that even some other celebrities or famous shows wanted a piece of the cake and made some appearances and cameos. Have you ever been able to find one? Well, in case you haven't, here are some cameos and pop culture references that you can find in Family Guy.
Cinderella, I am your fairy godmother. Fairy in the magical sense, not about kissing guys.
Oh, my God. I want that bitch Snow White to just admit she had an abortion.
Are you a fan of fairy tales? Well, in case you are, this is the episode for you. This episode is a complete homage to the Grimm Brothers stories, divided in 3 parts. One dedicated to Jack and the Beanstalk, another to Little Red Riding Hood, and finally, Cinderella. Of course, watching Peter playing the protagonist role in many of these incredible fairy tales is a really funny thing to watch, but you should expect the super over-the-top tone that Family Guy tends to use, no matter what the source material is that they're trying to adapt or to mock. So it is a very cool episode to watch and laugh at these awesome and incredible twists.
Oh, I love this time of year. You know, Chris, you and your stillborn twin Tmiss were named after Christmas. I see the kids put their gifts under the tree. Brian, I don't think you've put yours there yet.
Well, as we know, the true spirit of the holiday is one of giving. So I've signed all of us up to volunteer tomorrow at a homeless shelter.
Jumping from one fairy tale to another, who doesn't know A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens? This episode is a whole ode to Dickens' famous story, and we found it very funny to see Patrick Swayze as Peter's Christmas spirit. This episode also includes many funny references, like replicating a very important scene from Home Alone, in which neighbor Old Man Marley is reunited with estranged family. Also, Holden's fate is a cool reference to Hodor's fate in the 6th season of Game of Thrones and how he got his brain damaged. What a cool episode!
That's it, Brian. He's not here. None of these bears are Rupert.
Stewie.
You don't have to say it, Brian. I know. So, this is what it feels like to be a grown-up, huh?
Total Recall might be the name of one of the most famous action films from the 90s, so it's a great reference to start with this episode. Stewie is responsible for making a very cool reference after he tells Rupert that he needs to overcome his stutter to give a speech to people, which is a reference to the film The King's Speech. Also, the plot of the episode is similar to the one from the movie Toy Story. What a cool episode!
Wow, those are the Russian people? I mean, granted, you do think of bears on unicycles when you think of the Russian people, but they're all bears on unicycles?
Let's jump away from fairy tales to some spying movies. The name of this episode is a reference to the film Spies Like Us, an awesome 80s classic of the genre. Also, if you're a great film fan, you might recognize the scene in which Putin takes out a hanger for his jacket. In case you don't, this is a reference to one of the biggest action blockbusters ever, Raiders of the Lost Ark. In the source material, Tot is the one who takes out his jacket hanger. To finish with this episode, the tracking device that is used to search for Adam West is a similar device to the one used in the film Ghostbusters. This episode is full of surprises.
So, want to grab whatever wine is left and then burn the place down?
Maybe. But first, let's have an unearned end-of-the-series moment where we turn out the lights on our own place. Sorry, pal. We're closed.
Not only is the episode named after the famous sports term Rookie of the Year, it also includes some of the coolest references that we've found today. One of the coolest moments from the episode is one that pays homage to the famous 80s sitcom Cheers. There's a scene in which Brian and Stewie turn out the lights on Frank's restaurant, which references the final episode of Cheers, in which Sam also turns out the lights of the bar for one final time. Also, the title card includes some of Cheers' producers. Another cool reference can be found when Frank imitates Vito Corleone from The Godfather. The famous horse's head is also referenced, which represents a threat to those who refuse to deal with Vito.
Okay, everyone, please put your bananas and donuts back on the table. We're done with that exercise. Next, we'll focus on the female genitalia.
Oh, good Lord! I mean, va-va-voom, right, other men?
Uh-oh, we might get a body-swapping episode here. Stewie and Brian used their superior intelligence to create a body-swapping device and wreak chaos all over Quahog. The plot of the episode might sound interesting enough, so we don't want to spoil anything, except the cool references we've found. First of all, we see that the Griffins acquired a new virtual assistant named Brandy, which is supposed to be a cartoon representation of other famous assistants like Echo or Alexa. Lois might also fall victim to all this body-swapping chaos, and we see a scene in which Lois smashes the hotel's room door with her head. This is a reference to the same scene that occurred in the movie The Shining, which has Jack Nicholson as its main star. Also, the episode references comedies like Freaky Friday, which is one of the many examples of Disney's body-swapping comedies.
Okay, so the door's gonna open, and you guys say freeze and point your guns at him. Oh, or should it just be me? Yeah, you know what? I think that'd be better. Get out. Go. It's just me.
Blue Harvest might be one of the most famous episodes in Family Guy's history, but what about an adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back? This episode itself might be a big reference to one of the most important cinematic sagas ever made, but Star Wars isn't the only thing referenced in this masterpiece of an episode. When Stewie is hanging out of the window of the Star Destroyer, he smashes a very special mailbox. What's special about that mailbox? That it has the name Nimoy written all over it, making this a cool Star Trek reference. Also, the scene in which Stewie and Chris are doing their best Luke versus Vader impersonations, we discovered that some Looney Tunes-like signs are used during the fight. What a cool reference.
Oh my God, a baby! Are you okay?
The Joe-Meg relationship might be the main focus of this episode, and even if this relationship is weird enough, we found some cool moments that are very remarkable. One of the main plot lines of this adventure is the plot revolving around evil Stewie, but where does this come from? This story was adapted from Star Trek's episode The Enemy Within, where Captain Kirk's personality also gets split in two. There are even moments in which we can hear some classic music from the original episode. Also, at the end of the episode, we see that Stewie is having some werewolf yellow eyes and some maniacal laugh, similar to the one seen in the ending of the video clip of Michael Jackson's song Thriller.
Hey, Chris, your mom's done with the laundry. Can you help her fold?
No, but you know what? You put on her bra.
I don't want it.
Well, you're gonna. Everybody heard about what happened over at the Clam and how those guys made you their bitch.
Okay.
That's right, you wuss. In fact, the way I see it...
Getting herpes might be a really bad thing for Stewie to experience, and this episode is all about that. There's a scene in which Stewie is fighting, and much like Popeye did in his famous cartoons, he starts to eat spinach so he can get stronger. Also, the Griffin's little boy makes some references to other popular films like Brokeback Mountain, and there's even a moment in which he references alternate universes, explaining how he opened and closed the box, referencing Schrodinger's cat.
It's nice to watch TV when you have nothing else to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get over here, you idiot!
Stop! Peter, what the hell?
I'm still in charge of you!
Stop it!
I'm a human!
Get away from me!
This is for your benefit, so just go limp and
You
take
touch
it!
my ass, I swear to God I'll kill you!
A dog is usually known as man's best friend, but do you know what happens when dogs become violent? They go to obedience school, and that is exactly what happened to Brian in this episode. In this episode, there's a scene in which Brian is tied to a chair and forced to watch some videos about how good dogs should behave. Well, this scene is inspired by the movie A Clockwork Orange, where a similar scene happens. Also, the episode title is a reference to a Jim Carrey film that has the exact same name. Well, there you have it, Family Guy fans. Those are some references and Easter eggs that you can find in your favorite show. If you like the video, please subscribe to our channel so we can provide you with even funnier Family Guy content. Until the next time, goodbye.
What are you still doing awake?
Changing the oil in my car. What the hell do you think I'm doing? Sorry, I stole that from the Italian family next door. They've been going at it all night.
Dad, can I have $5 for lunch tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. Just let me go check my room full of gold and jewels.
You see, every first thing he says is not the real thing.